I used to think some people were born to be seen and others were born to disappear. I was the second type. Kind of kid teachers forgot to call on, the kind classmates looked past like empty space, the one who learned to walk the halls with his head down, carrying too many books and too little confidence. And then there was him, Caleb Rivers, the kind of boy who didn't just walk into a room, he lit it up, captain smile, perfect hair, confident stride, loved by everyone from the football team to the teachers who pretended not to play favorites. He was a guy people turned to look at even when they didn't mean to, the definition of untouchable. We lived in the same world, but he was a sun and I was a shadow. So the day he stopped me in the hallway really stopped me. I thought he was talking to someone behind me, but he wasn't. For the first time, Caleb's eyes were locked on mine and he looked nervous. That's the moment everything started to shift, because in a split second, the popular boy mask slipped and I saw something underneath it, something soft, something scared, something real. And when he asked if we could talk somewhere private, I didn't understand, not until he closed the door behind us. Breathe out like he'd been holding in for years, and told me the secret he'd never said out loud to anyone. A secret that changed how I saw him, how I saw myself, and how everything in our lives would unfold. Stay with me until the end, because what he confessed in that empty classroom didn't just shatter my expectations, it shattered his whole world. Most people don't remember the moment they first realized they were invisible. For me, it happened on a Tuesday morning during freshman year when Mrs. Holden walked right past me while taking attendance twice and asked, "Has anyone seen Ethan today?" I was sitting in the front row. That's who I was. Ethan Parker, professional background character, quiet, awkward, too skinny, glasses always sliding down my nose, a walking neon sign that basically said, "Do not notice." By senior year, I had perfected the art of disappearing. I ate lunch in the library, I kept my voice low when speaking, I walked close to the walls and crowded hallways. I never raised my hand in class unless the teacher looked desperate. It was easier that way, safer. When you stay invisible, no one can hurt you. But then there was Caleb Rivers, the one person impossible to ignore. He was everything I wasn't. Tall, broad-shouldered, athletic without trying, the kind of beautiful that made people stop mid-sentence. He had that warm, easy smile that teachers adored. He walked through school like he owned the air inside it, and yet somehow nothing about him felt arrogant. He was just magnetic. We'd been in the same classes for years, but Caleb never looked at me for longer than a passing second. I didn't blame him. Why would someone like him notice someone like me? And then came the morning that broke every rule I had built to survive. The first bell had just rung. I was opening my locker, or trying to, because the damn thing jammed every other day, and students rushed past me in a blur of backpacks and energy drinks. I was halfway through a deep sigh when someone tapped my shoulder, a tap, direct contact. I actually froze. "Hey, Ethan, right?" I turned, not expecting to see him standing there. Caleb Rivers, 6 feet of effortless perfection, smelling faintly like cedar and laundry soap. His hair was slightly messy, as if he'd run his hands through it too many times. His backpack hung off one's shoulder, and for the first time ever, his eyes were locked directly on mine, and he looked nervous. My brain short-circuited. "Why?" "Yeah," I said, "that's me." He nodded, shifting his weight like he wasn't sure how to start the conversation. Nobody like him ever hesitated. That alone made my stomach flip. "Can I ask you something?" he said. I blinked. "Me?" He almost laughed, not in a mean way, but like he was embarrassed for how awkward he sounded. "Yeah, you people float around us like a river," but it felt like time had slowed to a crawl. I clutched my books like they were a shield. "Sure," I said, voice cracking slightly. His eyes darted toward the crowded hallway. "Not here, it's kind of private." "Private with me?" Before I could make sense of anything, he gestured for me to follow him, and because I didn't know what else to do, because my heart was racing away, that made my legs move on autopilot, I followed. He led me down the quieter hallway near the science wing. Then he slipped into the only empty classroom with the lights off and the blinds half closed. I hesitated at the doorway, the air suddenly thick with tension. "It's okay," he said softly, "just close the door behind you." So I did, the moment The latch clicked, Caleb exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for hours. He leaned against the desk, running a hand through his hair, staring at the floor like it held the answers to his whole life. I swallowed, unsure what to say. You're probably wondering why I pulled you in here, he said. Well, yeah. He looked up. Maybe it was a dim light filtering through the blinds, but something in his expression seemed stripped bare, not the confident, untouchable Caleb. Everyone knew this was someone vulnerable, someone fighting something inside himself. I've been meaning to talk to you for a while, he said. I just didn't know how. Talk to me. My pulse thudded in my ears. There was no universe where this made sense. Why me? I asked before I could stop myself. He swallowed hard. Because you're the only person in this entire school who looks at me like I'm human. That hit me like a punch. What do you mean? I asked. Caleb looked away again, jaw tightening. Everyone thinks I'm perfect, or that I'm happy all the time, or that I have everything under control. They don't see anything real. He lifted his eyes back to mine, and for a moment his mask slipped completely. But you, whenever you look at me, it's different. You don't expect anything from me. You don't want anything from me. You just see me, and I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about that. My breath caught. He stepped closer, just a few inches, but enough to feel his presence, his warmth, the seriousness etched across his face. I need to tell someone something, he said, and I don't trust anyone else. My voice came out barely above a whisper. Tell me what? He hesitated again, then moved even closer. Close enough that I felt the heat from his chest, close enough for room to shrink down to just us. Then he leaned in, and when Caleb Rivers' lips brushed the edge of my ear, my entire world stopped breathing. I need help, he whispered, and there's something about you that makes me feel like I can finally be honest. Then he said the words that would change everything, the ones that made my heart drop into my stomach. But before he could finish, the classroom door rattled. Someone was trying to come in, and Caleb's eyes widened in panic. The classroom door shook again, harder this time, followed by a frustrated voice in the hallway. Why is this locked? We're supposed to prep the lab tables. Caleb's entire body went rigid. I could feel the tension radiating off him like heat. His eyes jumped from the door to me and back again, silently asking what to do, as if I had any idea. I whispered, just stay quiet. He nodded. For a few seconds we stood frozen, the kind of silence where every breath feels like a betrayal. Whoever was outside eventually gave up, muttering something before their footsteps faded down the hallway. Only when the quiet returned did Caleb step back, running his hands through his hair in a shaky motion. Sorry, he said. I didn't mean to drag you into something weird. It's okay, I said. Just what were you going to tell me? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked toward the window and pushed the blinds open slightly, letting a slice of morning light fall across the room. It painted the side of his face, revealing something I'd never seen on him before. Fear, real fear I've been keeping something inside for so long, he said, and I thought I could handle it, but lately it feels like it's swallowing me whole. My heart was pounding, but I tried to keep my voice steady. You can tell me whatever it is. He turned around, leaning against a window ledge, arms crossed tightly over his chest like he was holding himself together. Do you ever feel like you're living a life that doesn't actually belong to you? He asked. Like everyone has already decided who you're supposed to be before you even open your mouth. I swallowed. Yeah, I feel it all the time. He nodded slowly, the corners of his mouth lifting just slightly. I figured you'd understand. Then he took a breath, deep, shaky, and lifted his head like he was preparing to jump off a cliff. Everyone thinks they know me, he said. The perfect guy, the straight boy, the athlete, the one who always has it together. He paused, eyes searching mine like he was checking if I was ready for what came next. But none of that feels like me, not anymore. Maybe it never did. My throat tightened. Caleb pushed off the window and took a few steps toward me, staring down at the floor as if the words weighed too much to lift his head. There's something I've been trying to say for a long time, he said quietly, and every time I get close I just panic. He finally looked up, eyes full of something raw and terrified. I think I might be. The door rattled again, this time from the inside. We both spun around as Mr. Turner, the chemistry teacher, stepped into the adjoining supply room door holding a box of lab materials. "Oh," Mr. Turner said, startled. "Didn't know anyone was in here." Caleb straightened so fast he almost hit the table behind him. "Sorry, we were just leaving." Mr. Turner eyed us suspiciously. "Try not to sneak into classrooms during prep hour, all right? Students aren't supposed to be in this wing yet." "Yes, sir," Caleb said, already moving toward the exit. I hurried behind him and we slipped out into the hallway before the teacher could ask anything else. Once the door closed, Caleb pressed his hands to his face. "Great," he muttered. "Just great." I stepped closer. "Hey, we can go somewhere else. You don't have to finish saying it right now." "I do," he said quickly, lowering his hands. "Because if I don't, I'll keep running from it and I'm tired of running." He glanced up and down the hallway. "Follow me." He didn't wait for my answer. He started walking with purpose and I followed him past the science rooms, past the gym, through the double doors that led to the outdoor picnic area. Morning sunlight spilled across the wooden tables. The air smelled like grass and dew. No one was there yet. Caleb sat at the far table, elbows on his knees, staring at the ground like he was wrestling with invisible chains. I sat down slowly beside him for a long moment. He didn't speak and I didn't rush him. I just waited, letting him gather the courage he needed. Finally, he looked at me, really looked at me, like he was letting me into a part of him no one else had ever seen. "Ethan," he said softly, "I don't think I'm who people think I am." I nodded. "You said that." He took a breath. "But there's more." He paused and I could see his heart pounding in his throat. His hands trembled slightly as he clasped them together. "I've been pretending for so long," he said, "pretending to like certain girls, pretending to feel comfortable in my own skin, pretending the locker room jokes don't make me want to disappear." He swallowed, voice cracking just barely. "I'm tired of pretending." My chest tightened almost painfully. I felt the air shift around us, the quiet, the vulnerability, the gravity of this moment. He met my eyes again. "Last year," he said slowly, "I started realizing things about myself, about who I'm attracted to." His voice lowered. "It scared me. It still scares me." My breath caught, but I didn't speak. "Not yet." Caleb's eyes glistened slightly in the sunlight, and when he finally spoke again, the words came out like a confession ripped straight from his soul. "I think I like guys," he said. "And I think I've liked one guy in particular for a long time." My heart slammed into my ribs. He didn't look away. "I think that guy is you." The world tilted. Everything inside me turned weightless and electric and terrified all at once. I opened my mouth, but before I could respond, before I could breathe, a voice echoed across the courtyard. "Caleb, principal wants you in his office." Now we both jerked around to see Coach Sander striding toward us. Expression serious, Caleb's jaw clenched. He stood up slowly, eyes never leaving mine. "This isn't over," he said, voice low and trembling. "Please don't disappear on me." Then he walked away, leaving me frozen at the table, heart pounding out of control. I didn't move for a long time after Caleb walked away. The courtyard felt impossibly quiet, like all the noise in the world had vanished a second he said those words. "I think that guy is you." My whole body felt suspended, as if gravity had loosened its grip. I replayed every second of the conversation in my mind, trying to decide if I had misunderstood something, if I had imagined it, if my brain had twisted his words into something I desperately wanted him to be. But no, he had said it clearly. He meant me, Ethan Parker, the kid who blended into walls. By the time I finally stood up, my legs felt unsteady. I walked through the hallways in a daze, barely noticing the students rushing the first period. The world kept moving, but I couldn't catch up. My head was spinning, my chest tight in a way that wasn't painful but overwhelming. I slipped into class just as a bell rang and dropped into my usual seat in the back. My pencil rolled off my desk and I watched it fall in slow motion because everything still felt surreal. That's when my phone buzzed. One new message. No number. "Don't freak out. Coach dragged me to the office for some stupid meeting about the team. I need to finish what I was saying. Can we meet at lunch? Same place as before." My stomach flipped. I stared at the message for a full minute before typing a single word. Yes, I didn't trust myself to write anything else. The next few hours passed in a fog. I couldn't concentrate. Not on lectures, not on worksheets, not on whispering conversations around me. Every time I looked at the clock, the hand seemed frozen. My brain kept circling the same thought like a bird trapped in a room. He likes me, he said. He likes me, Caleb Rivers likes me. It didn't feel real. When the lunch bell finally rang, I practically shot out of my seat. I wasn't the type to move fast ever, but my body had decided on its own. I made my way to the courtyard. That same wooden table glowing beneath the sun like it was part of a dream I was stepping back into. He was already there. Caleb sat hunched forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped together. When he saw me walking toward him, he stood quickly, too quickly, and then seemed embarrassed about how eager that looked. Hey, he said, voice softer than usual. Hey, I echoed. We sat at the table, though sat wasn't the right word. Our bodies were tense, restless, charged with something neither of us fully understood yet. He cleared his throat. So about earlier, my pulse jumped. I'm not taking it back, he said, eyes fixed on mine. Anything, I said. I'm just terrified. Of what? I asked. He exhaled slowly. Of everything. He leaned back, staring up at the sky like he needed courage from something bigger than either of us. I've known something was different about me for a while, he said, but I didn't want to face it, not with a football team watching everything I do, not with my dad expecting me to be this impossible version of a son, not with everyone assuming they already know who I am. He paused, then looked at me again with an expression that felt almost fragile. You make me feel like I don't have to pretend. I felt heat rush to my face. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything yet, he replied quickly. I just need to be honest for once in my life, and I need you to know that what I said wasn't some impulsive thing. I've been noticing you for a long time, Ethan. My heart stopped. You have my voice cracked. Caleb laughed nervously. Yeah, you always sit with your shoulders kind of hunched like you're apologizing for taking up space. You keep your headphones on even when they're not playing anything. You doodle tiny stars on your notes when you're stressed, and you're always more observant than you let people see. I blinked. He noticed all that. I never said anything before. Because he paused, expression tightening, because liking a guy wasn't something I thought I was allowed to do. Those words hit me in a place I didn't think anyone else saw. I nodded slowly. I get that. He looked relieved to hear it, then he shifted closer. So if I wasn't wrong, if you feel something too, I just need to know if this is okay. Us talking about this, me feeling this. My throat felt tight, but in a good way, a real way. I feel something, I said quietly. I have for a while. He stared at me, eyes widening slightly like he wasn't prepared to hear that, like he'd been holding his breath without realizing. Ethan, he whispered, but before anything else could happen, before he could finish saying my name in that soft, careful way, a shadow fell over our table. We both looked up. It was Jason Carter, the loudest, most intimidating guy on the football team, the kind of guy who could make people move just by walking toward them, and he was glaring at us. What the hell is going on here? Jason demanded. Caleb straightened immediately, muscles tensing. Nothing, Caleb said, voice tight. Jason scoffed. Doesn't look like nothing. He stepped closer, towering over the table. Coach said, you ran out of the meeting like something was on fire, Jason said, and now you're out here hiding with him. He pointed at me like I wasn't even a person. Caleb stood up. He's not just him, he snapped. That surprised both of us. Even Jason flinched. Well, Jason said slowly, crossing his arms, this is interesting. Caleb clenched his jaw. Back off. Jason smirked. Relax, Rivers. I'm just saying you're acting weird lately, and people notice things, especially when you get too close to someone who's not exactly your type. The air grew cold. I felt Caleb's breath hitch. Jason leaned in, lowering his voice. You better be careful, man. People talk. Then he walked away, leaving a trail of tension behind him. Caleb sat down again, but he didn't look at me. His hands were trembling, and all he said was, this is going to get complicated. Caleb didn't go to class for the rest of lunch. He just sat there, staring at the table like the wood grain held the answer to everything he feared. I didn't know what to do, so I stayed quiet, letting him breathe, letting him process. The tension from Jason's words still hung in the air like smoke from a fire we hadn't put out. After a long silence, Caleb finally spoke. He's right, he said softly, people notice. Everything, especially when it's something they can turn into a joke. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. He rubbed his face with both hands. It doesn't matter, I'm the captain of the football team, I'm supposed to be the tough guy, the girl magnet, the dude everyone looks up to if one rumor starts it'll spread like wildfire. I swallowed hard. About us, his eyes flickered to mine. About me, but yeah, you get dragged into it too. I felt a cold scent in my stomach, not because he was wrong but because I could already imagine the whispers, the stares, the snickers in the hallways. High school could turn on you in an instant, but I also thought about something else, the way his voice had trembled when he confessed, the way he had looked at me. Like the truth was a fragile thing, he needed someone else to carry with him. You don't have to explain anything to anyone, I said carefully. He let out a tired laugh. I wish it worked like that. We sat there until the bell rang. Neither of us wanted to leave, both of us knowing we had to. When he finally stood, his shoulders were tense, eyes dimmer than they had been that morning. I'll text you later, he said, and then he walked off. The rest of the school day moved in strange, blurry waves. People whispered around me, probably about their own lives, not about us, but the paranoia made it feel like every laugh was pointed, every side eye signal. I kept checking my phone, but Caleb didn't message anything. When the final bell rang, I walked out to the parking lot feeling hollow. That's when my phone buzzed. Caleb's meet me behind the gym in 10 minutes. My heart lurched. I made my way there quietly, slipping past clusters of students leaving for the day. The area behind the gym was always empty, just concrete walls, a few benches, and the smell of grass and the football field. He was already there. Caleb paced back and forth, hands in his hair clearly spiraling. The moment he saw me, he stopped. Thank you for coming, he said. You said you needed to talk. He looked down at his shoes like he was ashamed. Jason confronted me again in the locker room. My breath tightened. What did he say? Caleb's jaw flexed. He asked why I'm suddenly spending time with the quiet kid. He asked if I was going soft. Then he said the team was getting suspicious. I clenched my fist. Suspicious of what? Of you having a friend. He laughed bitterly. Guys like them don't think straight. They look for patterns that aren't there, and when they find one they don't like, they turn it into a weapon. The wind blew gently, pushing his hair across his forehead. He looked tired, not physically but emotionally. Like he'd been holding a door closed against a storm for years. Ethan, he said quietly, I don't know if I can do this. My chest tightened. Do what? He hesitated. Let people see us together. For a second the world tilted under my feet. It wasn't the words themselves, it was a pain behind him, the internal war I could see tearing him apart. I'm not ashamed of you, he said quickly. God, that's the last thing you should think. I don't want you getting hurt because of me. I took a step toward him. Caleb, I'm already in this, not because I have to be, because I want to be. He closed his eyes like he was trying not to break. But what if I ruin your life? He whispered. What if everything I'm terrified of actually happens? Then we deal with it, I said. Together. The word hung between us. Together. For the first time since lunch, he breathed out a shaky exhale, not happy, not calm, but like a part finally believed he didn't have to carry everything alone. He stepped closer, so close I felt the heat from his body. I wish things were easier, he murmured. Me too. His eyes softened in a way that made my chest tighten painfully. Then he lifted his hand slowly, carefully, and brushed his fingers against mine. It wasn't a touch, not really. It was a question, and I answered by turn my hand, so our fingers linked just barely. We stood like that, hidden behind the gym, both terrified and drawn to each other, neither of us willing to let go. The air around us was thick with something new, connection, danger, longing. Then suddenly the gym door burst open. We jerked apart instantly. A group of football players spilled out, laughing loudly, shoving each other as they made their way toward the field. Caleb stiffened so quickly it hurt to watch. His entire posture changed, shoulders squared, jaw clenched, mask on. They didn't notice us, not yet, but they were heading straight in our direction. Caleb leaned in, voice tense and low. If they see us standing here alone together. I nodded. I know. He took a breath, eyes filled With conflict, I need you to go, he whispered. A sting went through me, but I understood. I slipped behind the storage shed as the guys approached, heart pounding from where I hid. I saw Caleb join them, laughing at some joke, acting like he hadn't just been moments away from unraveling. But as I walked off, he glanced back just once, and the look in his eyes wasn't confusion, it wasn't fear, it was longing, longing for me, and that scared me more than anything because longing was dangerous. For the rest of the week, Caleb avoided me, not in a cruel way, not in the pretend I don't exist way I was used from everyone else. This was different. Calculated, protective, almost painful to watch. Every time I looked his way, hallway, he looked down. Every time he walked into a classroom, he chose the seat farthest from mine. Every time our paths crossed, even accidentally, he tense up like someone had punched him in the stomach, and it hurt more than I wanted to admit. I didn't blame him. The football team had eyes everywhere. Jason had already started acting suspicious. And Caleb had spent his whole life playing the role people expected from him. The golden boy, the straight athlete, the leader. It wasn't easy to let go of a mass that heavy, but still. I missed him. I missed the softness in his voice when he talked only to me. I missed the way he looked at me like he saw something more. I missed a moment behind the gym when our fingers touched, when everything felt possible. By Friday afternoon, the ache inside me felt unbearable. I needed to talk to him. It didn't matter if it scared him. It didn't matter if it wasn't the right moment. I just needed answers, needed him. So after his last period I waited outside the locker room exit, heart pounding against my ribs like it wanted out. The hallway was empty except with a faint echo of boys shouting inside. After a minute, Caleb stepped out. He froze when he saw me, gym bag over his shoulder, cheeks flushed from whatever workout they had just finished. His eyes widened with a mixture of surprise and fear. Ethan, what are you doing here? I need to talk to you. He glanced back at the locker room door, then at the hallway corners, scanning for witnesses. His shoulders tensed. This isn't a good place, he said. I don't care, I replied, quieter than I wanted but firm. I need to understand what's going on. He hesitated, then nodded toward the back door leading outside. Follow me, quick. We stepped out into the warm afternoon air, the sun casting long shadows across the side of the building. He walked a few feet away from the door, then stopped, pressing his hands to his hips, like he was preparing for something painful. He didn't look at me. Not yet, Caleb, I said gently. Did I do something wrong? He shook his head immediately. No, God, no, you didn't do anything wrong. Then why are you avoiding me? He took a breath, long, slow, heavy. Because I can't do this halfway, he said finally. If I let myself be around you, I'm going to want everything, not just secret conversations or hidden moments. I'm going to want to sit with you at lunch, walk with you in the hallways, look at you the way I actually feel. My heart stuttered. And I can't have that, he whispered, not without destroying myself. I stepped closer. You're not going to destroy yourself by being honest. You don't get it, he snapped, not angrily, just desperately. If one rumor starts, I lose everything. My position on the team, my scholarship chances, my dad's respect, my entire life plan. I swallowed hard. And what about how you feel? That doesn't matter, he said, voice breaking. It matters too. Me? He closed his eyes and I could see his throat tightening as he tried to breathe through the panic clawing at him. Then he finally met my eyes, and for the first time all week his walls cracked open. You matter to me, he said softly, more than I ever expected. That's the problem. My chest tightened with both hope and fear, he continued. When I'm around you, I feel safe, honest, like I can breathe for the first time in years, and that terrifies me because I don't know how to be that version of myself in the real world. Then learn with me, I said. He shook his head slowly. I can't ask you to deal with the fallout. You're not asking, I whispered. I'm offering. He looked at me, then really looked. His blue eyes filled with longing, guilt, confusion, desire, fear, all tangled together in a knot that seemed impossible to unravel. Uthan, he breathed, stepping closer. I don't want to hurt you, then stopped, pushing me away. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he reached out hesitantly, like a man touching fire, and brushed his fingers against mine again. Just like behind the gym, but this time he didn't pull away. This time he intertwined our fingers fully. The feeling hit me like a tidal wave, his palm warm, his grip gentle, careful. Almost trembling, it was the smallest gesture, but it felt like the beginning of a universe. He took a shaky breath. I want this, I want you, I just don't know how to do this without ruining everything. We'll figure out, I whispered. I wish I could believe that. Before I could speak again, the side door slammed open behind us. We jumped apart like electricity had hit us, and there, standing in the doorway, staring directly at us, was Jason. But this time he wasn't smirking, he wasn't mocking, he wasn't suspicious, he was furious. His eyes flicked from Caleb to me, then to our hands, still close, still trembling from the touch we shared. What the hell was that? Jason demanded, stepping toward us with fire in his eyes. Caleb froze completely, like every fear he had ever imagined had just materialized. Jason pointed at him. Tell me right now what's going on. Caleb opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Jason advanced. Say it unless you want a whole team to hear what I just saw. Caleb swallowed hard. I whispered, Caleb, you don't owe him anything. But he didn't move, he didn't breathe, he just stared at Jason like a boy staring down the edge of a cliff. Jason took another step forward. Well, he demanded, explain. And Caleb finally spoke, his voice barely audible, drenched in fear. Jason, please don't. Then he choked on the words, and I realized he might lose everything in the next 5 seconds. Jason stood there like a wall of anger and suspicion, blocking the doorway, his breathing heavy, his fists clenched. Caleb looked like he was shrinking inside himself, shoulders tight, eyes darting everywhere except Jason's face. I could tell he was seconds away from shutting down completely. Jason stepped closer. I'm waiting. Caleb's chest rose and fell too quickly, panic flooding every inch of him. He looked like someone being cornered by a truth he wasn't ready to face, not publicly, not violently, not under someone else's control. I stepped between them. It happened before I had time to think, before fear could stop me, before reason could pull me back. Jason's eyes widened. Move. No, I said, surprising even myself. Not until you back off. Jason's lip curled. You think you can tell me what to do? You're scaring him, I said, and if you cared about him at all as a teammate, you would stop. Jason laughed bitterly. You really think I care? All I want is the truth. Caleb finally found his voice, weak, trembling. Jason, please, not like this. Jason snapped his gaze back to him. Then, how? You've been acting weird for weeks. Now I catch you holding hands with he stopped himself. Let the disgust fill in the blank. A wave of shame washed over Caleb's face, and that was a moment something inside me cracked open. Not anger, not fear, something protective. Something stronger than either. I turned to Caleb. You don't owe him your truth. Jason scoffed. He owes the team honesty. No, I said, stepping closer to him. Again, voice steady. He owes himself safety. Jason stared at me like he wasn't used to anyone pushing back. His jaw tightened. Whatever, this isn't over. He shoved past us, literally shoved, and stormed down the path toward the field. Caleb exhaled in a broken rush like he'd been underwater for too long. He leaned against the wall and covered his face with both hands. I can't do this, he whispered. I can't. It's too much. I moved closer carefully, giving him time to breathe. Hey, look at me. He didn't, so I gently touched his arm. He flinched at first, then let his hand drop, revealing eyes full of tears he refused to let fall. He's going to tell people, Caleb said. I know him. I know how he works. He'll twist it, exaggerate it, make it sound like something it wasn't, and then everything will be ruined. It won't, I said. You don't know that. You're right, I don't. I inhaled slowly. But I know this. You're not alone. That made his breath hitch. And even if rumors start, even if people talk, none of that changes who you are. He stared at me like he wanted to believe it, but couldn't. I'm scared, he whispered. I know, I'm scared of losing everything. I know, he swallowed, voice breaking. And I'm scared of losing you. That one hit deep. You don't realize how tightly someone holds your heart until they admit you're holding theirs too. I step closer and place my hand over his, not hiding, not timid, not apologizing, just being there, being real. You're not going to lose me, I said softly, not because of rumors, not because of fear, not because of Jason. Caleb closed his eyes again, but this time for a different reason, relief. But then he whispered something unexpected. I don't Wanna hide anymore? My breath caught. Are you sure? He nodded, wiping his face with the back of his sleeve. I'm tired, Uthan, tired of pretending, tired of lying, tired of feeling like my entire life is one big performance. Then he looked at me, really looked, and something inside him settled, like a decision he'd been fighting forever. Finally chose him instead. I want to live honestly, even if it's just with one person. His voice softened. Even if it's just with you. I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened, my heart raced for all the right reasons this time, so I didn't use words. I stepped forward and wrapped my arms around him. Caleb froze, but only for a second. Then he melted into me slowly, like a boy who had never been held properly in his life. His forehead rested on my shoulder, his hands came up to grip the back of my shirt, his breath shook against my neck. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't a movie moment. It was human, raw, honest. Needed. After a long moment he whispered, "Thank you for what? For seeing me before I knew how to see myself." We stayed like that until the warning bell rang for the late buses. Then Caleb pulled back, eyes still red but steadier now. "We should go." "Yeah, we." Walked side by side toward the parking lot, not touching, not hiding, just existing next to each other, and for the first time that felt like enough. Halfway there he stopped. "Wait," he said. I turned, he took a shaky breath. "I want to show you something tomorrow. Something important." "What is it?" He hesitated, smiling nervously. "It's easier to show than explain." "Okay," I said, "I'll be there." As he walked away I watched him, shoulders still tense but head a little higher, step still slow but no longer running. Something had changed, not everything. Not the world, not the fear, not the rumors that might start, but him. And maybe thus the next day might be harder, it might be terrifying, but it might also be the start of something neither of us had names for yet. And for the first time I wasn't scared because he didn't want to hide anymore, and neither did I. Stories like this remind us how heavy secrets can become and how powerful a single moment of honesty can be. Have you ever wished someone saw the real you beneath the expectations, the pressures, the masks? And if someone did, would you have the courage to let them in? If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter of our emotional LGBTQ+ stories, please.